Hello, partners. It's Billy Ho back again with another preview video. We are heading down south, back to Nolans, the place of the scene of the crime, so to speak, where the Eagles, if you did watch my Derby video, the 51 of you got the best picks from Billy Ho. I was all over the Eagles going margin. Minus 9.5 is actually as high as I went. Could have gone all the way up. I saw somebody posted a minus 21 alt line that they got for like 15 to 1. And I thought, geez, that's really putting it bold. But I thought they'd win by double digits, and they did. So great game, so to speak. Now we are in mid-February, and that means it is Fairgrounds Park time, and it starts. We go through from the winter time. It starts with the Gun Runner, then it goes to the Lecomte that we had a couple weeks back. Now we're getting into the big boy events. This is the Grade Two Risen Star Stakes, and this leads us into the Louisiana Derby, which is next month. So, this one is the one that ignites the spark that fuels the Kentucky Derby fire, in my opinion. You have had recent winners to go on and do great things. Just last year, Sierra Leone broke through and won this race. 2022, Epicenter won, and then it was actually the 2021 Kentucky Derby winner Mandaloon, who also won this race. So we are going to get into all kinds of stuff. I got a contest that I'm going to do for the 7 100-point Kentucky Derby races. $2 win place bet on your choice of horse. The one with the most money at the end wins. So that contest will be official here in another week or two once I get prizes and I get people interested in it. So I need to hear it in the comments. If you follow me on X at Billy Ho Sports, let me know because I haven't really had anybody. Everybody loves a free contest. So I'm going to give away some prizes, cash prizes, derby swag, things of that nature. So we'll see what we got. And if nobody wants to do a contest, maybe I'll just do a subscriber giveaway or something. So I don't know. I'm going to do something to show my appreciation for all the support you guys have given me over the past couple of years. And we're going into seriousness year two, year three covering the Derby on YouTube, but year 50, as far as I can remember. I don't remember Secretariat when I was born, but I do remember like Seattle Slew, I think maybe the first one I remember as a kid, 6, 7 years old or whenever. So anyway, make sure you are subscribed. I do appreciate all the support. Smashing that like button always helps. Notification bells, set those so you don't miss anything. And throw down who you'd like to win this race in the comment section because it is a pretty interesting race. And speaking of interesting races, let's jump over to the past performances. We'll get into this race. We're going to show replays and we're going to have an extensive breakdown. Let's do it. All right, so we are going a mile and an eighth, grade two Risen Star, $500,000 purse, and this is worth 20 Derby points to the winner. So you can see the prime power. There's your three horses. These are the ones you're going to hear all about. Picking one of these three is probably going to be your winner. You could probably box the three in a trifecta and get away with it, but it's not going to pay a whole lot of money. I mean, East Avenue's listed in DRF.com this week as the number one top 10 ranked 3-year-old male. I thought that was a little odd. I know a lot of people think a lot of him, and we are forgiving him for that bad stumble in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, but he hasn't raced since November. We've seen other horses like Citizen Bull get after it, and of course, there's always that recency bias with the last weekend's race. All of a sudden, now a couple of horses that have won a stakes race recently that looked fairly good doing it are now all of a sudden the best 3-year-olds in the country. So people need to tuck that recency bias away a little bit. They also need to tell me more about this horse, East Avenue, if he's that far and away better to be still ranked number one. But anyway, we're starting with American Promise. Keith Asmussen rides. I don't much care for that. Dwayne Lucas, wearing the cowboy hat in honor of Dwayne, I guess. So number one, American Promise, ran an 85 number in the Southwest. A pretty good race as it's going to turn out. Speed King, who finished second to Coal Battle in the Springboard Mile, came back to dominate this race on the front end. Sandman, who had a terrible start, rallied all the way to second. Tis Tastic always seems to be a solid third place finisher in many of these races. So coming in sixth is still a little bit too far back in my opinion. But he does get the rail post, which may help. I don't know, but I don't like his chances unless it's an off track. I don't see. I think there's PM showers for the weekend on Saturday, but I don't see anything bothering the day Saturday. Jonathan's Way, Philip Bauer, jockey switch from Joel to Jose. Jose is the leading jockey at Fairgrounds right now. He's pretty hot, high percentage jockey. So be on the lookout for this one. Sharp 5 furlong workout. He's done everything right to get this horse ready to go. Uh, was a nice bounce back, big win in the Iroquois, and then over Owen Almighty, which Owen Almighty fared very well in his last race to Sam F. Davis last weekend. So Jonathan's Way didn't do much. A lot of horses didn't do a whole lot of the BC Juvenile. They kind of got ran off the track by Citizen Bull and Bob Baffert on a very fast track in Del Mar. But he came back to Churchill Downs, Kentucky Jockey Club Grade 2, uh, on a slow pace, who got stuck back in fifth, so stalking it in fifth, then moved up to third, and then came in second behind First Resort, who just had that race locked in all the way. But Jonathan's Way made a really nice rally after being bumped and wide around the first part of the race. So Jonathan's Way, definite threat, second in prime power. Now we go to Vassimo, bit of a wild card. Todd Pletcher, sired by Nyquist, Irad Ortiz aboard. All the connections look good. Uh, just undefeated in 2 starts. Just moved up to a mile and 40 yards at Tampa in the 75K here and still won without too much trouble. So it was at the chalky 0.80 odds as well. So this one's going to be a value play in this race, most definitely. Could end up being the fourth choice if it gains some steam behind the top three. We'll see. But keep an eye on the tote board on that one and probably an underneath use. Here's your horse. Well, and there's really not much else to say, but I do appreciate the 90 and then the 90, the big 95 in the grade one Breeders' Futurity. But that was all the way back in October. And then he had the bad race. You got to draw a line through that. So really, if you draw a line through the Breeders' Cup, he hasn't had a meaningful race since last October. That's a long time. So we're looking at Brendan Walsh is pretty decent 90 days away training coming in. He couldn't have this horse fit any better. He had a gate workout 2 back, and then he had the 5 furlong breeze on the 8th just a couple days ago. So Godolphin horse, no excuses. T-Gaff in the saddle for the third straight mount. So we'll see how he does. Uh, and in this one, now we have an interesting long shot. I almost immediately dismissed this one. Chunk of Gold came up, and then I went back and I watched this Leonidas, the 125K Black Stakes, which is pretty solid step, just a few rungs below a grade 3, I suppose, when you're looking at it. But Luan Mikado rode this horse, and he came out of the gate in the first post, and it looked to me like he was spooked and he was just kind of pulled. He was like pulling on the reins. Mikado was trying to get him to away from an accident coming out of the gate and pulled him all the way back to last. He sat in seventh until the stretch. Then he hit fifth and he charged home hard to second place. So it was a not a super fast paced race either. So you had a -8, -6, which is okay but 24 52nd half mile for 1 mile, even on the synthetic, that's slow in my opinion. So you can see the 102 late pace hammer. So that sometimes a little bit slower pace helps them keep up to where they'll have the energy to get it done down the middle. But I like Abel Cedillo enough as a jock. So I think if he's a 50% trainer for greatest stakes, uh, so he's 1 out of 2, I guess, so far this year. But he's got a 19 ROI in that greatest stakes. So chunk of gold, an interesting dude, to say the least. One of those underneath plays that we might get for 20 plus to 1. Seattle Road, this one I will pass on. I've seen him. I've been looking at him since back here and had a couple of good maiden tries in late, but could not get the maiden breaker. Dropped all the way to 58K. Or actually, my apologies. He did get the maiden breaker. I think that's where I was watching when I did my LeCompte video. I said they dropped him to 58K to get the maiden win. He might be, but he went off at 80 to 1. He was nowhere near these horses, and Built is in this race. So I don't give him much of a chance. Now, this one is Septarian, and it's trained by Chad Brown, who took over on a private sale over Javier Contreras after the first two races. After this optional claiming here, he was bought uh, and then took over at 11-8, and Chad Brown put him out here in the Mucho Macho Man, where he ran third behind Guns Loaded and Treaty of Rome. Well, he rated evenly in the stretch and everything, but the next two races, you got to look sometimes at what the competition does after that. Guns Loaded had absolutely nothing in his next race uh, at Gulfstream. That was the Holy Bull, I do believe. Then the Treaty of Rome just ran in the Sam F. Davis last weekend, and he ran dead last and flat quit before they hit the turn for home. So neither one of them did well going 2 turns after that 1 mile Mucho Macho Man. So I don't know what that says for Septarian, but you also get Flavian Pratt, who wins at 33% rate and in the money almost over half the time, obviously. So first time blinkers, obviously a different one. 25%, that's not bad in 152 starts, 1 out of every 4 blinkers for Chad Brown. So all the connections are there. We'll see what the way he gets bet down, if he becomes an underlay or not. Now, Giacoso, Keith DeSormo, Jamie Torres, not much on this one. A couple of greatest stakes efforts. The third in the Iroquois wasn't bad behind Jonathan's Way and Owen Almighty, but did go back to the turf after that for the Bourbon. Not very well there. Then finished his fall in November and winning this allowance race N2L, which is a solid closing effort here for him. So maybe a little off-season training for the past 3 months can get him to back to the dirt in a more comfortable manner. I'm not buying it. I'll have to see it. I'm not going to play them. Here's one that I like a lot. Luis Saez getting the mount. So Luis Saez cooling off a little bit since his hot run at the end of 2024. He's begun 2025 not very well, actually. I believe in his last in the month, I looked it up. In the month of February, he's got maybe 3 wins and 20 something starts. It's somewhere around this 13%. It's 11 to 13%, which he was winning at almost 30 before. So maybe he hasn't had as many mounts as the rest of them. So I don't know if it's any cause for concern or not. But Luis Saez, great tactical jockey, take it over for Jared Loveberry. He looked really good in the slop in the LeCompte. He was right next to Disco Time. Just got beat by a neck. So pretty good run there. Now we have Wayne Catalano putting this one back in. Should be the fittest horse in the race. Had another sharp workout on the second. So 47-4, going 4 furlongs. So I'm definitely going to have high thoughts on Built. The rest of them, not so much. Render Judgment for Kenny McPeak and Brian Hernandez. Not really looking too much like they're going to be repeating any kind of Mystic Dan stuff here, because he has not fared very well since breaking the maiden. The fifth in the Jockey Club and the third in the Gun Runner, uh, just not really overly impressive in my opinion. Jolly Samurai, a horse I picked to win the Springboard Mile, disappointed. He's not ready for prime time, so I was just taking a shot on the Springboard Mile there, but I'll take the L. I always willing to risk it on a value play. So, Vamonos Carlitos, Greg Foley, Florent Giroux. Florent Giroux rolls at Fairgrounds Park. He's winning at a 28% clip right now. He's got 3 wins in his last 8 starts. So, this one newly claimed as well, not newly claimed, but claimed over the fall, 11:22 after the win in the 40K claimer. Uh, so he takes over, sends him out, and finishes second behind Admiral Dennis, which is no slouch. Admiral Dennis, if you remember, I believe it was the Springboard Mile where he was the favorite. We hadn't seen a whole lot of him race, so he was kind of like one of those soft favorites. But he came back and they ran him. He looked really good in this optional claiming race, winning it. Admiral Dennis did, and then you can see the third place horse went on to win his next out, and Vamanos Carlitos finished second uh, in that race. So could be an interesting long shot play by a Catholic boy, the 3-year-old colt. Now, magnitude. This one really disappointed me. Was one of the top choices in the Gun Runner. Disappointed, and then I kind of liked him to run well in the slop at the Lecomte, but did not show up at all in that one. No bid whatsoever. I'm gonna hang my hat up, so to speak, on magnitude. Pop, pop. He's done. He'll have to prove it to me. Maybe he'll bounce back, but I'm just not seeing it in this one. So, all right. So I would give a bump to American Promise. Say the rain that's supposed to come in the PM Saturday comes in Saturday afternoon, because it's going to be almost dark time. It's going to be 7 o'clock at night. You always see the lights on in these major stakes races at Fairgrounds. It is the 14th race on the card, so we're looking at that. Uh, but American Promise gets a bump on and off track. Built off track, he already proved what he could do on and off track in the Lecomte. I think after that good performance, uh, this track, those conditions, obviously would be a top choice. Ultimately, I got to give the edge to East Avenue. Brendan Walsh has done everything he's supposed to do to get him prepped for this race. He's a good, logical choice for a key horse. Now, I probably won't bet him to win because the odds won't be there. He'll probably be like 6-5, 7-5, somewhere in that range. Hopefully, it gets spread out a little bit. Maybe we get 2-1. But the key horse means in a trifecta, he just has to finish. He just has to hit the board. So I feel like he can do that, even if he's not ready for race day. Then I have my next best value between Built and Jonathan's Way. I kind of waffle back and forth. I'm still on Built as of right now with Luis Saez, but Jonathan's Way getting Jose Ortiz is a big deal, in my opinion, who's a much better tactical racer. So he could get him up, save ground. Jonathan's Way could be a major factor in this race, but he's a definite use underneath. So if you just wanted to key in an exacta, you could just key Built in Jonathan's Way, or I mean key East Avenue over Built in Jonathan's Way and call it there. But what I want to do is add in a couple of long shots, like between Chunk of Gold, who looked who could possibly close to hit the board if he has if he takes to the dirt, especially. Vassimo is kind of a wild card. So is Separatarian. Then you have American Promise in there as well. So there's lots to choose from, and but I think one of those three I feel like wins the race. It's the East Avenue built Jonathan's Way. If East Avenue is good as everybody seems to think he is, then he should win this race. But if he's not quite up to the task, I think Built or Jonathan's Way take advantage. So that's all for today. Be on the lookout for more racing action. We got tons of stakes races this week. So I'll be back as soon as I can. Best of luck.